Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how to talk. Don't lay your trip on.
Well, hey folks, and welcome to Solar Cabin Channel. My name's Lamar, and I am a long-time off-grid homesteader. I've been off-grid for about 20 years now. For 15 of those, I've been teaching people about how to live off-grid, how to live sustainably, how to reduce your footprint, and to live on the cheap, basically. And so what I'd like to do in this video is introduce a product, a fridge that works off small off-grid systems like a lot of us use. And this fridge is made by Alpicool. It's called the Alpicool C20. And I have struggled to try and find fridges that work on small off-grid systems like mine. Now, my system is only 400 watts, 3 150 amp hour batteries, and it works great for everything that I need except for a fridge. Now, fridges in general use a lot of power, and the ones that have been out there have just not been made very efficiently up until now. Even the ones that were made for 12 volts still required a large inverter and a big system in order to operate them. Well, that has changed now. The Chinese have come out with a small compressor. It's a knockoff of the Danfoss compressors. Not quite as good, I would say, but for the price, I think we should really consider these for our off-grid use, and for people that are looking for appliances for tiny houses on wheels, or if you're an RVer, a camper, off-road four-wheeler, you know, these types of fridges I think would be a very useful product because they use very little power, only about 3 amps. So I'm going to walk you through this fridge and how I have it set up for my system, and then if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I will also explain what I've been up to and some of the projects, because I help design housing for homeless people, and I design off-grid cabins, and I design tiny houses on wheels, and I've got some new projects coming up here in the near future I'm going to put on YouTube. So if you stay to the end, I'll explain those, and I'll explain the other work that I'm doing for off-grid living and shelters and stuff like that. Alright, so let me walk you through this Alpicool C20 refrigerator freezer. Okay folks, so this is the Alpicool C20. C20 stands for 20 liters, and they make 4 different units. This is the smallest of the units, and I'll explain why I got that in a minute. But they also make a 30 liter, a 40 liter, and a 50 liter. This is a compressor style fridge freezer, and it will freeze your food. And on the front of it, it says, Alpicool, we make you feel cooler. Now this is a Chinese made model. It uses a Danfoss knockoff made by the Chinese, which has brought the price down on these a lot. Like I said, I paid, I think, $239 for this. And this unit is about the same size as a mid-size cooler. And that doesn't include the inside of the, which I'll show you the compartment here. The space is not that big, but for one person, because I'm a single guy, and I do a lot of off-road traveling and adventuring and stuff like that, I chose this unit because it's small enough that I could use it in the house as my regular fridge and freezer, but I can also pick this up and put it in my Jeep when I want to go traveling and adventuring. And it has enough room to store food for a week for a single person. Now, if you've got more people in your household, I would get probably the larger unit. The 30, 40, or 50 liter units would probably be better for you. But for me, I like these small units, and I go to town probably every 3 days, 3 or 4 days like that, and so I get my food and just restock when I need food. Now, like I said, my system is set up for 12 volt. Now, where most of you have AC plugs in your house, I also have DC plugs. I have AC plugs, but I also have DC plugs. That there is a DC plug, just like you would have. It's a car lighter, is what it is. I have 2 of these set up right here in my kitchen. That way, one is for the fridge full time, and the other one is for whatever other gadgets that I want to run in there. And I run my vacuum off of there, and I have other appliances for cooking and things like that that are all 12 volt. that I can just plug into that unit right there. And that plugs into the front of the fridge. Now this fridge is designed so it'll work off of 12 volt, 24 volt, or AC. Now I run mine off straight DC, that way I don't have to convert the power from DC to AC, which is a loss of power, and I don't have to use a big inverter that way. I can just run this straight off of my system, and my system is 400 watts and 3 deep cycle batteries, which are gel cell batteries back there, and they're sealed so I can keep them in the house. And I can tell you that running this overnight, my system is generally, by the time the sun goes down, I usually have about 12.75 volts in my batteries, and this thing never even dropped it. Running it all night, it never dropped it below 12 volts, and that was while I was running my laptop computer and the fridge at the same time. So it uses about 3 amps of power when it's running, and it does cycle on and off. You need to know that. It runs until it hits the temperature you set it at, and then as it gets about 2 or 3 degrees above that, it will kick on and it will bring the temperature back down. So that reduces power. It's not running constantly all the time. It has fans, and you need to be aware that the vents you see, they're on all 3 sides. You need to make sure that you have enough room around this unit that the air can circulate. So don't put this in your truck seat or something and block off one of those vents. Make sure you set it out so that all 3 of the vents are uncovered. So now I'll show you the inside of this unit here. And I've got it stocked up. I am loaded in here, okay? And I'll just pull out some items to kind of show you. This is the side of the unit here. I got me some waffles, okay? And then underneath that, I've got lunch meat. And underneath that, I got a couple of frozen pizzas. And under there is some frozen burritos and a pound of hamburger and 2 of those banquet-style frozen dinners, okay? So that's a lot of food in just that little area right there. And I keep food that I can just fix in a hurry, but I also keep hamburger and stuff like that for making tacos and all that sort of stuff. Then over here I've got a bag of salad. Got to have my salad. And I've got a package of cheese. Underneath that is a bottle of salsa. And there's some pasta sauce for my noodles. A bottle of salad dressing. A quart of milk. And my milk, when I first turned this on this morning, my milk was frozen. It already had ice in it. So I had the temperature too low, and so I've changed that now, and I'll explain why we have to do that. And I've also got 2 sodas, or if you prefer beer, there's enough room, and you can actually stack 2 of these, one on top of the other, and they will still fit inside. Now this cooler has, as you notice, it's got an indentation in the lid. Okay? It's a 20 liter, but it's designed so that the extra space is actually up here in the lid, so you can put stuff above it. You can see that the milk bottle sits up above the edge. Now this has real good insulation. I'd say there's probably about 2 inches of insulation in the roof of this, which is where you want it, because that's where you're going to lose most of your cold. Cold tends to settle to the bottom. So things in the bottom of this cooler are the stuff that you want to keep colder. So I put my frozen dinners and my meat and stuff like that down at the bottom, and they stay almost froze. I don't want them froze, but I want them to stay almost froze. That way, if I put in frozen dinners, they will stay frozen for probably 2 or 3 days before they start unthawing. Okay? And you can get a whole lot of stuff in here. I could probably get in even more than what I have, but I've got a lot of stuff in here. And you can see that it all fits in there nicely. It's not as convenient as a regular fridge, because sometimes you have to pull stuff out to find out what you're looking for. But you can still fit in a tremendous amount of food, and that's easily enough food for me to last for probably at least a week, you know, or at least 4 days, and probably up to a week, I would say. And you know, it fits my needs. Now, talking about the control panel on these, these are designed to in China, and so they use the Celsius system, which the U.S. is probably one of the few countries that still uses a Fahrenheit system. So you just need to do a little bit of conversion, but it's not that hard to do on here. This panel comes with, it has a power switch over here. It has a switch for letting you select either Eco version or maximum cooling version. I usually keep mine on maximum cooling version, but if you're running this in a vehicle, then switch to the Eco version. It uses a little less power. It won't come on as often, but it will run longer when it's on the Eco version. On the Max version, it will cool down a lot faster, and it will hold the temperature at a closer level to what you set it at. It has an up and down arrow switch here. Two up and down arrow switches where you select your temperature. Now this is in Celsius, and you can see that mine says 1. That's 1 Celsius. 1 Celsius would be about 33 degrees Fahrenheit, right around there. So at 32 degrees Fahrenheit is freezing. If you don't want everything in your fridge to freeze, then you better keep it just above freezing. So I set mine at 1. And you may have to play with this a little bit because it's going to depend on the temperature in your house and the ambient room temperature. So just because I have mine set at 1, you may have to set yours a little bit differently. It might have to be a little bit cooler, a little bit warmer, so that you're not freezing your food. But that's easy to do. You just up and down this, and I would recommend getting getting a regular refrigerator thermometer and keeping that inside the unit, and that way you can tell exactly what the temperature is and set it the way you want it to. Okay? Now, what else was I going to tell you? The top of this is built and designed to be a seat. It is pretty sturdy. I think a person, you know, if you've got that in your truck or your Jeep or something like that, and you needed an extra seat for a kid or something like that, could be used for a seat. But it's very well insulated. It seems to be very well made. I don't see any metal in the hinges, which is good, so you won't have a rust problem. About the only drawback I would say is that this does not come with a drain plug in it, like you would generally find. And so cleaning it out is, when I do clean it out, it's probably going to be a little bit more of a hassle. It means you're going to have to empty everything out and then wipe it all out real good with some antibacterial spray or something, because there's no drain hole, so you can't just put a hose in it and flush it out like you would a cooler. Other than that, that's the only drawback I see, is it does not have a drain plug. It's just this is the perfect size for me, for enough groceries for a week, and I can also take this, it's portable, so I can take this with me in my Jeep. I can run it off of my 12-volt batteries, and I can run it in my Jeep or in my truck or in my camper if I want to take it that way. So for that price, I would say this is a pretty decent unit. And I have checked this thing, and it is working just as described. It will cool your food down quite quickly if you put in colder food. If you put in hot food, then it's going to take a while. So let your food cool down before you put it in the fridge. Okay, that just makes sense. Some other tips I'd give you here. Just like your parents used to tell you, don't hold the fridge door open. Same thing here. Every time you open up the fridge door, you're letting out cold. Now, the good thing about these types of coolers is they work like a chest freezer. The cold generally falls down to the bottom. Okay, so you don't lose as much cold out of a fridge like this that's set up like a chest cooler as you do a standard fridge, because in a standard fridge the cold all drops out of the door as soon as you open the door. But you still should minimize your amount of opening time. Just get in and get your stuff out. You can also probably insulate around this more if you're in an area where you really want this to be cold and use as little power as possible. It would be possible to insulate around this or get an insulating cover. However, don't cover up your vents while it's running. So whatever you do, don't cover up the vents. But you could insulate. The bottom would probably be a good place to insulate underneath this if you want to get a little bit better efficiency out of this unit. Okay, that is the Alpicool C20. We make you feel cool. They do offer a 30, 40, and 50 liter models. And I will give you the website or the Amazon link so that you can go pick up one of these if you're interested. And I will keep you updated as to how I think it's working. I haven't had it too long, so I can't, guarantee that these won't break down. But as far as I can see, everything works very well. Oh, it is also very quiet. I don't even notice it running, really. It buzzes on and off about, every 5 minutes it buzzes on for a minute to keep the temperature down, and then it shuts off. And it doesn't bother me at all. I don't think you'd even really notice it. Okay, I think these are excellent little fridges. For off-grid living, or people that camp a lot, or you like to take day trips or whatever. I think this would be a good unit, and this is just the right size for me. Okay, I will put some links here at the bottom and just tell you some other stuff that I'm up to. Hang on. Okay, folks, well, I hope I did a good job of giving a thorough overview of the Alpicool C20 and the refrigerators that Alpicool produces. I really do think that these are going to be a valuable product for off-gridders and people that use small systems or use 12-volt systems. Now, what have I been up to? Because I know some people have asked where I've been, because I haven't been making many videos lately. Well, I got a new grandson, okay, and I've spent a lot of time going up and visiting him, but also communicating back and forth with the family about my grandson. This is a picture of the little rascal right here. And I've also been busy working on some new designs and helping organizations that are producing housing for homeless youth and homeless people, homeless veterans. And I've come up with some really nice designs. And they're going to be using those designs in their projects. But I'm also ready to now put those into an ebook with the plans, so that you people out there that are looking to build your own small off-grid cabins or a shelter that you can use on your own property before you build a bigger house, or if you want to build a house on wheels, then I'm going to have those projects available for you. One is an 8x12 unit, the other one is an 8x16 unit. They're both designed for off-grid living and can be built in general for under $3,000. So, you know, they're a very affordable housing situation for a lot of people. Now, I do ask that you go to my website, simplesolarhomesteading.com. Take a look at the many designs that I have already created, that I already have plans for out there. You can get yourself a package deal for only $10 that includes about 10 different plans for off-grid housing situations and all of the information you need for how to set up that system so you can live with just a small off-grid system and you know, power everything that you need in your houses without having to be hooked to the grid and without having all that expense of having house payments and utility bills. Okay? So please go to my website, simplesolarhomesteading.com, and look for the package deal for $10. Thank you, folks, and have a great day. Thanks for coming to my cabin.